Hi, this is Paula Gloria, and this show is called Farther Down the Rabbit Hole. Right now, we're both streaming and creating a show that's going to be shown on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And the topic is Tantra, I guess. Yantras, mantras, and Tantra. Tantra is a process, and as my friend Molly Cheshire says, it's a process of manifestation. And everybody's interested in learning how to manifest a reality that's more pleasing to them. And right now, when we think about the war going on in Iraq, we think about a more successful strategy for expressing ourselves as Americans into the world arena. And so when we start to investigate what's happening in Iraq, and we ask big questions about why we are at war, and we say, learn about 9/11 truth, and then we start pursuing 9/11 truth, investigating that, then we find we come upon this place where when we ask these questions, are we really ready for the answers? And hopefully we are ready for the answers. And part of that readiness means a willingness to share what we learn, even when temporarily it might put us at odds with the society because it's been only thinking of solutions inside a certain framework. And that framework, or we call inside the box, can be our social order. So when we step outside in order to find greater solutions, because, you know, we're sort of stumped, and right now it looks like we're facing endless war, when we step outside of that box, oftentimes it's an uncomfortable stepping out because we find we're not supported by our society, our group consensus. So I'm going to be joined today with by Molly Cheshire, and we're going to explore these questions together. And we're also streaming on Rabbit Hole Central. We're also streaming on rabbitholecentral.tv, and this will be appropriate for the stream, but not for MNN. The telephone number to call into is 484-340-9007, and we're expecting a call pretty shortly to somebody who posted.
Why don't we call him back?
Because I don't know his number.
It's on my phone.
Oh, well, we could. I think if I. Okay, here
Ah,
he is.
there he is.
There he is, okay. Let's see.
And
Rabbit Hole Central.
Hi, Paula. It's Estathios.
Put the mic close.
Estathios. It's not the person who I wanted. Estathios, can you call back because we're expecting another person? Unless you have something urgent to say. I don't have call waiting, and Molly wants to. I'm at your disposal.
I know, but to hear what he's saying on the tape, you got to put it close to.
I've got to hold it here. Okay. Estathios?
If you can get your camera up a little bit higher.
No, I know. I'm waiting for Molly to sit down next to me, and then I'll fix the stream camera because we're also creating a document for MNN. So we're all set there.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The other thing that I was just now perusing Scientology's website about self and healing, and they also have some interesting techniques on healing and self-analysis.
Make it a little tighter, and then
they go greatly into people losing their
then we have no
glasses
freedom.
so they can see without eyeglasses and stuff. So I haven't verified any of this, but they did have an interesting touch. It says program when you got hurt to resolve the injuries. So it's another area of the mind that they use to discover the empowerment of your own spirit. And
that sounds great. Can you give us a hand with a sound check, or particularly when you're talking? Because I'm kind of holding this up for both MNN, and then I want to get it out on the stream. By the way, for MNN, if you go to rabbitholecentral.tv, I stream every day at 12 noon.
But let's call the guy
and you
back.
go on, and then you click the Egyptian rabbit.
I think you're crackling a little bit. Are you hot? Are you hot on the sound?
I don't know because we don't have
that sound he's listening to. He's not listening to our sound.
Oh, that's better. When you're talking,
Yeah, but Paul, what
I'm
you
trying
don't
to
understand.
do is I do understand, but when
he's monitoring the sound on the stream.
How do you sound? We know we sound great.
I think you're a little hot still. You're crackling.
Yeah, but we're talking about your.
Yeah, see, he's right.
Never mind. But then you'll never get him.
That's with my problems. I'll just have to sit closer. I have to sit closer here.
Well, but look at where you are on the shot now. All right.
I know. But this is how I'm trying to accommodate everybody.
All right, so what was I going to say?
So if Stathios, we want to call somebody back. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to end it right now. And,
Okay.
I just wanted to touch base with you and say hi and say
Thanks.
hello.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So let's call the guy back
Okay,
there.
let's call him back, and then I'll set up. I want to read what's put
See,
on
505, right?
Call him back.
Wasn't that?
Whoever the last call was. I don't know the number, Molly. We just...
Here, now you're still yours. What's this guy's name?
Jeff or...
Hello?
Yes. Is this... Oh, this is Kathy?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. We're trying to call back this guy.
Okay, bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
You know what? It says no number.
Okay.
We lost him.
Okay. So let me get back here and let's just discuss.
No number.
Okay. What I want to do is I will hold this up here while I read to you the
Ah,
comments.
unknown. That's it.
Okay.
Jeff, is that you?
It is me. I'm watching you on the street, so I knew you were looking at my phone.
Hallelujah. I thought it said no number, and I thought, oh no, someone is trying to be off the grid.
Keep it close to your...
No more Skype. I was using Skype.
Ah, no, I have a cousin who I swear to God should be a member of the CIA because it always says private, so I always know who's calling.
So what I want to do is read the comments that you made yesterday and how we got in touch, because what I'm doing on paulagloria.com is I'm taking comments of the day, and it's even nasty comment of the day. But in your case, the comment was something that I think is very close to a lot of people. So what you say is, I will quote you, "Protecting space is not male or female. As a hetero male in touch with feminine energy, I as well feel the need to defense block men who might be approaching thinking I am gay. Men should just stop approaching women, period. Then maybe women might lighten up a little, take more responsibility. I choose not to follow that rule I must pursue because insensitivity has many forms, as well as many women's insensitivity to the emotional effect of blatant rejection on men, and I am weary of wearing armor." To which I repeated something Molly said because she was commenting from mine. "How do you feel when women pursue you? Tune in to our stream tomorrow at 12 noon, rabbitholecentral.tv, and call us, and I will make this the quote of the day for paulagloria.com. Sometimes people are a little shy to leave comments on YouTube because it can get very intense, and I do not block any comments on YouTube. But if you want a little more quiet, private space, I'm going to try to be attentive to, let's say, gentler souls on paulagloria.com. But anyway, you were bold and you left another comment, and your handle is soul play orb, and you say, "I am fine with it, but I will say that women who do it are sometimes a little over the top when they get the nerve. And honestly, for me as an older male, I am not Johnny on the spot unless I'm into her. Women sometimes take that for granted, so she might come on to me, and if it is a pickup, I might not take the chance on poor performance, and she might see it as personal rejection, but it is a hard thing for a guy to say to a stranger. I avoid the 4 a.m. drunk thing now, for example." So I thought this is a great place to start a conversation.
Go ahead. What do you think?
So do you want to make a comment on that, or should I comment?
I want to say, first of all, that I'm really glad I found your channel yesterday. And it's funny how things work, because I was watching the James Gilling and
Have to put him closer.
UFO video, which really ramped up, and then it read into your channel. So I'm very, very happy with that. And I was really inspired by listening to your conversations, and I just felt it reminded me of my feelings in recent years as a male when it comes to dealing with this whole issue of women and other men.
I think that's great that I think we have a whole lot of problems that happen because we're just too shy and inhibited to express our feelings to each other. And I think if we can, just start to address that, that there'll be a lot less heartache, and with less heartache, we'll have a lot more healing.
I don't know about that, Paula. I think that the reason why we're shy is because we can't take the rejection. I think that as soon as you can accept the rejection, then all of a sudden it all starts to change.
I think you're right. I think that the rejection's a big thing, but I don't think that men, by and large, are in tune to it because we are sort of taught to make the big decisions sometimes on the fly. And I think what happens, we just tend to bury it. And sometimes that comes out in different forms when we get older, maybe through substance abuse or just emotional meltdowns, whatever. But I think we're oblivious to it mostly.
Do you think, I can't believe that men don't have feelings too. Are you saying that men from a young age have been sort of taught to kind of have more of a, I don't know what you'd say, stiff upper lip, or just sort of, I mean, aren't men afraid of being rejected right from the beginning too, just like women?
Well, it's funny you asked me that because I was thinking about something this morning, and I was reliving sort of the feelings I had when I was about grade 3, you say. And a young lady, their girl, she had about 7 of her friends, and they had put, she had gone against the wall, and her 7 friends went out to gather guys and to bring the guys over for this infamous kiss. I don't know, it's something that's probably happened in school grounds all across, the world. And so I remember the fear that I had that when they picked me, and they were trying to drag me towards this woman, on the side of the wall, and I never forgot that. And I was thinking about that today, and I said, that's how early it starts, because you're sort of being singled out somehow, or there's this whole dynamic there, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right. But you were saying as an older male, that was when you were young, right?
Right, but these things, what they do is, I think what happens, they start out and they start to build. So when that happens, then maybe you might say next time, the next time that they're doing that as a little game on the skill ground, I'm going to go over to the corner and be by myself, so maybe they won't pick me. So then what happens is over life, you start to build maybe these little layers of actions and ritual to keep yourself from these potentially embarrassing situations or hurt as a
Oh, I see what you say. And then those sort of actions or rituals can start to block the energy from flowing. Would you say that, Molly?
Exactly.
Right. And then when you get older, you say you can sort of use substance abuse to sort of replace it, the blocked energy?
I think that some people do. I think they act out. It's never been my case, but it's something where, in my case, maybe, I do other things, but it's something where I think that people act out when they're in those kind of unsolvable, and they're not easy questions to figure out because, keep the stiff, upper lip Johnny idea, like, don't show emotion as a male is something you're not, you're kept in line by your peers.
Right. I don't know anything about the 4 a.m. drunk scene. Can you sort of, can you actually elaborate on that? Actually, I should get my bottle of beer.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, you know what I mean. You're at a bar somewhere.
Wait, just say it. Just so you know, Paula never hung out at bars.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry, Paula.
No, it's not sorry.
She was in TM for all those years.
Yeah, right. I had another type of conditioning.
I think that the thing is that a lot of women, and I mean, I know this sounds kind of weird saying this, but, without a guy's, I shouldn't make a blanket statement. Okay, let me put this better. Normal relations or normal sexual relations is not going to happen unless the guy can, say, perform, be a Johnny on the spot.
A Johnny on the spot, okay.
Okay, so we'll use that. So, if you're at a bar and you've been drinking all night, and now it's 3 a.m, but you're probably drunk through her friend's place by the time you make it back to her place, and you're thinking in the morning, damn, I got like 10 o'clock, I got to do something. After a while, there's pressure are there, and you just don't perform the same way. So then
Right.
if you leave, you go, as a male, the fact that you have this poor performance, it somehow, for me, degrades my sense of self. So I stop doing it.
I see what you're saying. Well, can't you see how kind of the body is a very delicate barometer? Because you're talking about, I mean, in this day and age of Viagra, people are talking about just popping pills to sort of make what you'd say good performance, but you can really see how the body is so delicate. And there's a reason for erections when they come, and there's a reason when they're not there. And I think both of the reasons should be honored. And that if they were honored, I think there would be better relations between men and women. You know, in other words, if you've got a guy that gets an erection all the time under any circumstance, then maybe with that much power, you actually have the potential for less connection.
Right.
And this is the norm. To think of males. I mean, when you're younger, you don't have to do anything extraordinary. If you walk outside and there's a bit of a breeze, well, then you have to go back inside. I mean, it's something that's very natural. And I mean, there's like a lot of women, like they go, wow, that guy's really into me, and I go, yeah, but like, you can't use his erection, for example, as an indication of how he's really into you. It's only
Right.
At a certain age, it's automatic, is what I'm saying.
Right. Well, so then that's a good thing as people get older and these huge powers start to
Wane.
sort of wane, that actually you have the ability to sort of understand that mechanism better and share better and connect better. It's kind of like, you weren't probably watching the stream yesterday, but I was explaining to a sun gazer or trying to share some deeper insights to somebody who's had even more experience than I, that right before the sun comes up can be a moment of great heartbreak. There's just something kind of special about that before morning hour. It's kind of enlivening. Everything is waking up, but at the same time, you can most articulate your greatest heartbreak. And at that time of greatest articulation, you can send forth a prayer or what you most want. But the moment the sun comes over the horizon, you're filled with the energy and the warmth. Just the warmth on your skin makes you think, it's not really that bad. And then you sort of lose the focus and articulation of whatever your heartbreak was, and therefore whatever you choose to feel you want to bring forth as a solution. So I would imagine the same thing could be true of an erection that's so mighty that you're not really paying attention to what maybe will bring it about as a result of a connection with another human being.
I think you're right. I mean, I can share a little story really quickly where it came into focus for me, if you want to hear it.
Please, yeah. Yes, we're all ears.
Okay. Well, I was really kind of oblivious to this whole subtle harshness between humans, I was always there, but I didn't realize how much it's affecting me. And I was in a sort of a down spot in my life back probably 10 years ago, say. Maybe 8. And I had noticed someone at the gym, and I thought she's pretty hot. She was a few years older than me. So at that time, she was maybe 46, and I was, say, 36. And she just had a certain demeanor about her. There was an energy about her that was sort of posturing, and it must have played in my mind subtly. So finally I asked her out. We went out for a date. She invited me for supper. And I have, to this day, had no idea what caused it, although I do suspect now why it wasn't underlying factors. And we had eaten supper. It was fine. And this was a similar first date. And I was standing there, and she said to me, I said, "Oh, so what are you up to this weekend?" Like, it was such a subtle thought. And she said, well, maybe I want to go with somebody else this weekend. And it was, I don't know why, like it was something that was so subtle, and I probably have heard that 1,000 times before.
took me up on my offer to make your quote the quote of the day, and then you made another quote, and then you left another comment on YouTube, and then you looked at more of our videos, and then you decided to call in to us. So that means this is something that we can keep developing. And as a result of developing this kind of dialogue, it can be what Harold Channer talks about. He's a public access producer because this is made for public access and Manhattan Neighborhood Network. We can do something called autodidactic, where it's self-teaching, where just by staying in connection with each other, we can teach each other. And we can learn and have richer experiences. What's that? What did you say?
Years ago, 16 years ago now, I started reading the teachings of Seth.
Do you think the thing's going out?
Hang on. Are you losing
No.
signal?
It's. Are you losing signal, or are we maybe needing to plug it in?
No, it's fine.
Can you hear me okay?
It's getting better. You have to understand that we're on a spinning ball somewhere in the universe, and the ionosphere changes, so the signal changes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
There you go. We're back.
Okay. Can you continue?
I find synchronicity really interesting, and you touched on it there, how things develop.
Make sure we can hear it.
I'm actually in Nova Scotia, Canada, so I'm not even in the States.
I thought I heard a hint of Canadian accent.
Right.
You can hear that, can you? Okay.
Yeah, sorta.
No, that's great.
That's
It's great. How did you find us?
Well, again, I'm quite active on YouTube, but the point I'm making, I guess, is that there's a couple here in Halifax who are artists, and I won't mention the names here, and one of those men of the couple has a show on the Manhattan Access station.
Really?
And they come up here and do all their work, and they actually live on the island, and what happened is this was coming up in conversation about 2 weeks ago, and I would say, I find this whole Manhattan cable...
It's called Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
Right, I find this very interesting. This is what he's on every
In
night.
Nova Scotia.
And like I said, I don't want to mention his name, but anyway.
Well, I'm trying to explain to Paula, they somehow got a New York address, they got a public access show, but they actually live in Nova Scotia.
No. You can show shows on Manhattan Neighborhood Network without a Manhattan address. But you just don't get the best time slots. They give the best time slots to residents.
I see.
And what they try to do is have it something that is relevant to the neighborhood of Manhattan. So they'll give that priority first, and then after that, they'll open it up to others if they don't have enough in Manhattan themselves.
I see.
But that's great.
They have a residence there. They're artists.
Oh, they're residents.
They're well known. They're Canadians, but they're well known in America.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they travel there probably, I don't know, probably 30 times a year, and they have parties there.
Well, you should talk to them because they may want their name known in the future if we continue with this fascinating discussion.
Well, what I find interesting is the synchronicity of it all, because that raised, this thought, I wouldn't mind knowing more, because I haven't even been to New York, which is terrible to say, but it's true. And so I just find that really interesting how life works. So I didn't know that this was anything to do with the access cable last night when I was checking out your show.
Well, that's not. It's just, see, what I do is I take my shows after I show them on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and then I post them on YouTube.
I find that so interesting because I had no idea.
Right. So can you tell me exactly how you found it was? I think it's called Direct Experience with Sex and Spirituality, Part 2.
Look at my face.
I can't switch it in so people can't see it. If I was at home, I could switch it in and we could
see
show
my
it.
goofy face.
But oddly enough, this was taken down by YouTube, and I had to sort of go through a few hoops to get it back. I don't know. I just went through the hoops. But we don't really know why it was taken down, and we don't know why it came back.
Well, it was taken down supposedly for copyright infringement, except we shot every single bit of it ourselves.
Right.
You know, so.
And even though it was about sex, there was nothing pornographic.
And no 9/11, no breach of national security. You know.
Right. But even 9/11, they can't take it down for being 9/11. But it didn't seem...
Maybe hairstyle bad. I was having a bad hair day. I'm sure they took it down for that.
I thought it was a pretty good hair day.
Really?
Some people
I had
like
no
it.
idea. It came out perfectly for me. I just went and I did a search
10,000
for the
hits.
name without the part on it, so I would have all 3 shows.
Right.
And it was there for me perfectly.
So again, exactly, you were sitting down at your computer, and then what did you Google in to find this? I'm so curious.
Well, again, you have, I think it's tagline somewhere to do with Ramtha.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. So
And the reason why is I've taken an interest in this James Gillian.
do you know who? We don't know who that is.
Oh, James Gillian? Contact is now, or Contact has begun. He's got a brand new video out. You do a search. It's awesome.
So contact has to do with nonviolent communication, maybe? Because I've got videos up on that.
James Gillian has a branch in Washington State, and he is essentially has a ranch where you can go, and UFOs appear almost every night there over a mountain.
So the UFOs brought us together.
Exactly.
And so then you landed on this discussion, direct experience with sex and spirituality, part 2.
Well, that's the way it works. I mean, it's...
And then you liked the discussion. And then, so did you hear part 2 first?
No. I went, actually, I came to part 3 and went back, and I started with part 1 through 3.
Wow.
And what happened is,
Part 3 has...
when I was watching James Gillian, his movie Contact Has Begun, which is an awesome production, I got a very... He was talking about his experience and the inner Christ teaching. I think it's called teaching. And I have a bit of a tell, so my arm got extremely hot, flashed my left arm. That's my tell. So I knew that.
What's a tell?
A giveaway.
Oh, a giveaway. Okay.
Yeah, it's like what I use. It's what I use whenever something.
It's in a David Mamet movie.
Is it?
House of Games.
House of... Oh.
Did you ever see House of Games?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, they talk all about tells. It's about a con man and how the con, how to con people, basically.
Oh.
And tells are all about, what gives people away and how you can con people.
Yeah, well, this is more of a personal tell that I developed a few years ago from meditating and stuff. And essentially, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's a minor chakra or something, but partway down my left arm, if it turns hot, that means essentially there's something here you should pay attention to. Have you ever had those?
No, but I'm just looking here. I think you were looking at Pavel on the Great Work. He was somebody from the Ramtha school, and maybe you saw below it that it was a video response.
I think you're right.
Yeah, then you clicked on the bottom there, and then you got to part 3, which only has 6,000 hits. And then you listened to part 3 first?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I came into part 3.
I see. That's really nice. Well, how fascinating. So, what's your conclusion? What do you think about UFOs?
Well, I think that anyone who denies UFOs, I don't know where you can start the conversation with them.
Well, what about UFOs and sex life?
Pardon me?
UFOs and sex life.
Well, how do they relate, you mean?
Yeah.
I know sex is very spiritual.
Right.
Yeah, but Paul, why would you pull that together?
Because I'm trying to trace how the hits go. Like you're talking about UFOs, but very quickly you landed on something that has direct personal experience with sex and spirituality. And I linked that to Pavel, who used to be at the Ramtha school, because I feel if the sexual energies are flowing, then spirituality, more profound spirituality, can be comprehended. And the Ramtha school is oftentimes very misunderstood. It's an ancient school of wisdom, but people think of it as something that's based only on the personality of either Ramtha or the lady who channels Ramtha. So, did you ever go to the school?
No, I haven't. I've been mostly, like, I think you sort of missed it earlier, but I sort of pick up a book out of a used bookstore to do with Seth. And,
Seth. Love Seth.
Yeah. So after I digest that for a few years, because it's a very, very, it's hard to jumpstart yourself.
No, but you should take a look at Harold Channer interviewed Jane Roberts while she was channeling Seth.
Oh, do they have those?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you so much. I've been looking for
The only
interview with Seth.
The only interview with Seth was done by Harold Channer.
And it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You'll like it. The funny thing was, Harold wasn't really prepared for it. He said it kind of scared him.
Well,
Right.
I think that just channeling,
Which is nice. He was in his
the 70s
feelings.
is interesting. I find what I find interesting, though, I just digress for a sec, is the whole idea of people, if you look at the Indigo movement, the idea that human consciousness was asked, you want us to intercede because of some possible situation in the future, and us saying yes, and then somehow they go back in time and start manifesting through channeling back in the 70s as a result of something that human consciousness had decided in the 90s. I find that whole idea, because apparently Seth, Abraham Hicks, all of these channels are supposed to be part of the change that was decided on the planet by human consciousness in the 90s.
I hadn't heard that, but I worked on a movie called 12 Monkeys, which sort of played around with that.
Oh, you worked on 12 Monkeys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this is, I guess the idea is, have you been reading about the Indigo movement? I don't know.
I don't, not that, I'm familiar with it, but I haven't really researched it.
How about I post this and let's see what kind of comments we get, and then we can kind of develop it in the future, okay?
Okay, let me see where we are on the...
We must be at 28 minutes.
Excuse me. We're at 37.
Yeah, I knew we'd gone past 28 minutes. But I can post it longer on YouTube. MNN will only see the first 28 minutes of this, and we'll carry on. Is that good?
That sounds
We can keep going. We've got 22 minutes.
I'm just tired, because I've been at it since 12.
All right. I thought didn't you want to look at the video with the evil guy?
Are you up for that? Are you up for it?
Well, I'm going to smoke a cigarette, but I can...
I kind of need to get back to New York, though.
Well, all right.
I mean, if you're up for it right now, but a cigarette...
Yeah, we can do it.
Like
No, I'm going to watch it. Watch it and smoke a cigarette at the same time.
She's going to watch it and smoke. Okay. Okay, so stay on the stream. We're going to do something a little different now.
But you're not going to be able to show them the...
Oh, I can't show it to you, no.
No, but you can't show...
But I can read it to people. I can read the comment, and I can show the video.
Well, and you can tell them where to go.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you where to go. Okay. So I'll say goodbye now?
Jeff?
Bye. I guess
Okay,
you're...
goodbye.
Okay, bye. Yep. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to show some nonviolent... We're going to do nonviolent...
No, some violent communication, for God's sakes.
Right. But we're going to use nonviolent communication to address
How long is this?
Just a couple minutes.
No, but so the video is just a couple minutes?
See if I can find it. Are we rolling tape?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you just stop for a second? Because I wasn't quite lined up.
I
Yeah.
widened out the shot.
If you got it so you're in the shot, so I'll show it to
I think so.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to show Molly a mean video that was made.
In my honor.
Oh, you're here now?
No, I'm gonna sit here, and you're gonna shift
that
it.
Was made
to scare me. It seems
to
like
scare Molly, I guess.
I'm quaking.
About being involved with
Paula Gloria.
with changing with Paula Gloria, yeah, who's kind of involved with changing the paradigm, or so she would like to hope that she's
I'm
adding
angry at Paula's
constructive.
success. I just don't understand this.
Okay.
I'm not even late because I'm too busy. So if you get a chance, please give me a call, put me back on your show where I can get more exposure.
Can you see
Because
that?
I'm not getting laid lately, Paul. And you have to make sure that your friends are getting laid because you're not sharing with us. Paul, you don't share with us all the millions of dollars that you have. No, Paul, you don't do anything like that at all. In fact, what you do, Paul, because you exploit your friends. You exploit us. You make us look like we're idiots, like we don't matter. Because of your donations. And we don't have any donations. We don't get any money. And we're your no-planners. We're your biggest fans. We're your cheerleaders. Oh, woe is me. Oh, oh, oh.
That's
Now-
kind of cute.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying a connection, but
I thought he was going to say something awful like all the things he was saying to you.
oh, really?
I said,
So it doesn't bother
that's
you?
kind of endearing.
Really?
Here I was all like prepared to have my, I don't know, I don't even want to put any words in his
well,
mouth.
it is nice that people are, you know.
I was
trying.
afraid that, I don't know, whoever's going to show up on my doorstep, God forbid. Luckily, I have really nosy neighbors. And my next door neighbor looks exactly like me, so God forbid that she get her by mistake.
Oh, this is because some people say, is it dangerous to have your address and your telephone number out? And this was one of the most vicious
And he won't even show his
commenters.
face.
Yeah. He showed his face on a couple of the others. Let's see if I can get that.
And play back the sound and to see if there's a built-in mic.
What people do is they leave comments and they can leave videos, and it's very important. The YouTube community.
But he thinks that you're his friend.
He thinks that I'm his friend. Oh, well,
He said he's a frenemy.
he's a frenemy?
Yeah, that's friends who are enemies.
He said he's a frenemy?
No, but that's my conclusion.
Well, you know, in a certain way, anybody that just participates is kind of a friend. It's a community. It's not in a community of people that agree. But if they actually make videos, you know, they're starting to do something.
Well, they
And
took the time
he's showing,
to watch your stuff.
He's showing a little more of himself. Like he did one on Web Fairy, so you can see more of what he looks like if you want to make a comment about how he looks. This is supposed to be Web Fairy's ex-husband. Can you see that?
I just want to let you know, players know. Now, we don't like your kind down ground zero. We feel that ground zero is holy ground.
I love those
for the
teeth.
victims that were vaporized by the UFO on 9/11. So we just want to let those who know things know that we come down there in peaceful protest.
Does she have an ex-husband?
Oh, yeah, she does.
The controlled demolition of Towers 1 and 2 and Tower 7. We also bring back that we have what we believe is record of the UFO. And that goes on not everything. The UFO brought down in towers.
But anyway, you can see he's showing himself more. That's
Right.
the point. He's not in a mask.
I used to be
Well, he's still got those fake teeth.
to Rosalie's grave.
Right.
Y'all not remember Rosalie.
What Nico's comment on that one was, which I agree with, is he says, this mouse is
So you think he's a 9/11?
He goes, The web fairy rules, okay, I love Rosalie. You got a problem with that? So somebody's angry about that. Then 9/11 censored 2, which is Nico, goes, this here is more boring than 1 to 3, but at least we know you live in downtown New York now. And then I said, at least he's trying.
Well, at least he's got some creativity. So you think he's a We Are changer?
Well, he's supporting We Are Change. Joe Friendly was thinking I was against Sabrina, the girlfriend, saying that she did it with Dan Wallace. I wasn't saying that at all. I was saying to investigate it and to find out what he took. And when Ryan was shooting the footage, he really came alive. Ryan was the one that got kicked out of Columbia because he needed a co-signer for $13,000 on his student loan. So
Isn't a Columbia education enough?
he didn't get to finish.
No, I know, but wouldn't you be able to co-sign future potential earnings from an Ivy League school?
I know.
I mean,
That's
if I
why
were
it
the
was
bank
so-
manager, if he were getting good grades,
Well, what they're saying is that it was coming too close to the truth, and they wanted to pull the plugs out of those that were closest, because actually Ryan's research, it wasn't Nico's on the cults, it was Ryan's research. And everybody has said it was Nico's. And Nico admits that too. Here's one you might like, of him with the big swastika on his forehead.
of who? This
is 9/11 shaman. Oh no, the swastika is blocked off on his.
Is that a Nico imitator?
Yeah. Oh, he's destroying the swastika on this one. That's funny. The other one, he had one on his forehead.
This is kind of voodoo.
This is voodoo?
Well, there's a certain amount of, by imitating Nico.
Oh, maybe that's why impersonators are so... Let's lower it so we can hear us.
I mean, he's quite funny.
He's quite funny?
Yeah, he's got a certain amount of creativity
Yeah.
that you have to respect.
So maybe he'll show his full face. So 9/11 shaman, come out and show you.
I don't know. I mean, is he trying to scare you, or is he trying to
be part of the party.
part of the club?
Yeah, that would be good too.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm glad you take this so well.
Well, I probably will until he shows up at my doorstep.
Oh no, this is the one, Molly, before he...
Patty was talking about her target practice.
This is where he puts the swastika on his like that.
I'll have my stun gun ready. I got to charge up the batteries.
No, but you're right, actually. If you just connect with people for their creativity, then, how would you want to hurt somebody who's in your party?
I used to have...
Because they're making the party fun. I think that's the idea.
I used to have a No Nazis T-shirt with the swastika with a thing through it.
Oh, you had one of those?
I have it somewhere.
Uh-huh. That's interesting, the symbols.
Well,
that's what I was saying earlier, that yantras are like visual sound bites. And because we do live in a day and age where everything is so abbreviated, we have abbreviated attention spans and so on.
Well, but this has always
that
been
it's
the
useful
case.
to... well, we've always had yantras.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
always
and
been
they've
the
always
case.
been symbols, and so...
Yeah, but if you eliminate one symbol, then you don't have the full palette from which to work.
Right, but then people start layering on other meanings on the symbols. It's like myths. And then there's this shorthand that goes off and this layering that happens. That's what I did my thesis on.
Symbolism.
Well, why modern man is interested in Greek mythology. And I used Orpheus, Jean Cocteau's Orpheus as a modern example of a myth, and how you're really playing on all the layerings over the years that you don't have to even discuss in a way.
Right. Did you know my dad was talking about the swastika as being a Greek symbol? And at first I wasn't, and he was sort of speculating maybe from Homeric times, and I didn't quite get it. But then when we were down at J. Paul Getty Museum, and we were going on the I was
the Greek.
When you take the Greek key and you double it over, you get this. See? That's, if you go to paulagloria.com, thanks to Howard Stern, this is now, Paula Gloria comments on Howard Stern's punking her show.
Is that from your floor?
No, this is J. Paul Getty. Because it's two Greek keys overlaid with each other, and you get a swastika. And a lot of the very, very wealthy people became enamored of ancient civilization. And so they wanted, J. Paul Getty was building his house to look like a Roman.
Greek, please.
No, Roman.
He did it on the Romans?
It's a Roman.
He copied a copy?
What do you call it? Not a country house? What do the Romans call it?
Villa.
The villa, a Roman villa. You don't think of Greek villas, do you?
Yes, but that's because...
Did they have Greek villas?
Yeah, of course.
I always think of Roman villas that copied Greek style. I never think of the Greeks living in the villas. I always think of Socrates at the marketplace, at the Agora.
Well, the Agora, but that's the public forum. You know, everybody had private houses.
I always think of Greek slaves in the Roman villas.
That's because they had more PR.
Yeah. Well, is there something like Pompeii in Greece? We had the villas.
I don't think that.
Have they restored a Greek villa?
I don't know. I'll have to do a little research, but
stay tuned for the cultures for the classics section.
Well, because there was a volcano that preserved, you know, a Greek. I mean, if you think about it, the Minoans had
some tragedy shapes.
I mean, the Minoans had huge palace complexes that were pre-Mycenaean, but I'm sure that the Romans got it from somewhere. And then the Greeks settled Syracuse. You know, Sicily was all a Greek colony.
Right.
And so...
I still think of Sicily as Italian. I know
understand.
It's got Greek influence. And it's also got Arabic influence. It's an amazing
but that was later.
Island. And you know what? Speaking of Sicily, when I was going around maybe in the Agrigento area, which is where Concordia got its name, you know, harmonious gathering of all the sources, there was one of the places where you'd go to where the rock was so old, it was weathered. It was obviously cut, but then it was weathered, exactly like you were seeing the weathering on the Sphinx. It was that old.
Well,
because there was one place in Egypt where you would go inside a pyramid, protected this place for a couple thousand years.
You mean the Syrian?
I think it was the Red Pyramid. Inside the pyramid is some structure, handmade or human-made, that's weathered. So that means it had to be really old if a pyramid was built up around
on top of it.
And that same type of weathering, because John West, going on those tours, I had developed an eye for it. I saw that same kind of weathering in Sicily. And again, you know, you're sort of filled with this awe that here is the fingerprints of a really, really old civilization.
And then, Malta has supposedly the oldest civilization that, you know, quote unquote, if you don't buy into the whole weathering on the Sphinx, Malta has, they had arches and things like that, huge complexes from like 8,000 BC.
Anyway, Molly's talking about renegade Egyptology because she worked. Well, tell them what you did because it's so interesting.
Well, I just assume everybody knows. Yes, I'm in the shot. Okay. The Mysteries of Sphinx was a documentary that I worked on with my brother, with renegade Egyptologist John Anthony West, that was shown on NBC in '93, I guess, and that was how I met Paula, was through John, because.
Right, we won't go into that.
Anyway,
it's a topic. They got an Emmy for research in '93.
John got an Emmy for research, and but it was also nominated for Best Special, and it was all about how we used water weathering on the Sphinx and got a geologist to really objectively look at the evidence as opposed to just accept the conditioning of what all the other Egyptologists or anthropologists or archaeologists were telling us was the actual timeline. And so they dated the Sphinx to 5,000 to 10,000 years, not BC, but before present day, I guess we would probably put it to 7. Okay, before. Okay, they say that the pyramid and the Sphinx was probably constructed around 2000 BC, right?
Yeah.
So they're pushing the date back 5 to 10,000 years because there wasn't that kind of water in the Sahara until that time.
In truth, though, off the records, he wanted to push it back much, much farther, but they thought this was more
It was harder to
accessible.
substantiate.
Yeah. But anyway, what's interesting about all of this work on the evidence of ancient civilizations is you get clear understanding of what the real science is that could do marvels such as create the pyramids. And it gives us a handle on solving all of our problems today. You know, with energy crisis, also problems of getting along with each other.
Well, that's the issue to me. It's the technology is easy. What's difficult is getting along.
Right. So there we are with 9/11 Shaman. We're learning how to get along. And so would you be afraid to put your number out with someone like that?
Well, I've already put my number out.
Not your address, not your telephone number. Well, your
Well,
cell
he's
phone
got
number,
my
yeah.
cell phone. So when I look down and it says private, it might not be Richard at all.
But that's to me the beginning of a society that can work together. Is we have to trust each other to show ourselves. And that caller that called up and how he found us through the Ramtha school.
Okay, why don't you do a
wrap up? What time
wrap
is
up? You got 4 minutes.
Okay.
Hang on just a second. So why don't you say that again? This is what...
Okay, what I was saying is that skills of nonviolent communication are important because using these skills, we can stay in touch with each other, no matter what the temporary tragic expressions of unmet needs might be through harsh labels and threatening comments. If we can get beyond those threatening comments and harsh labels and cease to fear, which we'll naturally cease to do, once we understand that there's a human being behind that communication, then we can afford to be in connection with people who have diverse feelings and they have, or viewpoints, and they have very different strategies about accomplishing what eventually is something that we all want to accomplish, which is to have a society that's more equitable, a society that has the participation of all, not just because it's nice to let everybody be included, but because it's a more interesting life when you have different viewpoints of different cultures, different strategies, different conditioning even. We talk on one hand about wanting to get beyond conditioning, but at the same time, it's conditioning that will cultivate us to have the culture that we have. That's why I say I'm never against cults. Sometimes Nico uses the word cult victim to imply that there's going to be a certain predisposition to arrange data, to look at it in a certain way that may be limiting. But it also may be limiting in such a way that the limits are something that you can structure another body of knowledge and create something to include more. So it's not like you want to get rid of the social boundaries, but you want to extend the notion of society and how society includes everyone, and how the art comes about, how the music comes about, how the joys of expression, of being a human being come about, and how we do that with each other. So thank you for joining me. My name is Paula Gloria, and this has been an episode of Farther Down the Rabbit Hole, and maybe that's 9/11
But wait,
Shaman.
but actually what I really want you to talk about is...
Can I answer this?
We only have 2 minutes.
Rabbit Hole Central.
I thought I'd
Hello?
talk a little bit about nonviolent communication today.
Yeah. I'm so sorry you keep dropping in and out. Do the best you can. Can you make it succinct, your comment?
Okay,
Just
this is
hit
no.
stop.
So I just wanted to say one thing about the labels. You were talking about how the more vicious the labels, the less power someone has. So that when you start realizing when people are, the more vicious they are, the less...
Yes. What I was telling Molly about was once I was in with a bunch of lawyers and we were hashing out a deal, and I was sticking up for the underdog, and as a result I was jeopardizing my holdings. and nobody else was joining me. And all of a sudden, the bad guy had not only jumped on his one victim, now he was jumping on me. And everybody in the room was just horrified that this person was so vicious. However, later on, I couldn't even afford a lawyer at that time. I sat and listened to the other people who could afford lawyers, and they always did the right thing by, not helping the underdog, but just helping themselves. And the lawyer for the other guys, they were semi-good guys, was saying, when somebody is that vicious with labels, the way he was, it means they don't have a legal leg to stand on. And so they're using the labels. That's what he was saying. So that was one comment. The other was sometimes when the labels are really vicious, it means there's something deeply unmet within them. And if you can connect with that deeply unmet need, you can release enormous power, and you can start to work together and rectify, as you can't when you are with people who really are being nice to you. So there we go. That's a wrap. Bye.
See,